Hello everybody and welcome to another new player guide. We have been away from the series for a couple months and that was kind of unintentional, but it just sort of happened. But here we are talking about the new player guide for Nick Fury out of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wave. And we will be looking at every hero card in his pack. We'll be looking at an example deck of where you can go outside of just his initial cards. What else can you add to it? And then we'll look at the Nemesis Kit and the Obligation, just so that you understand what Nick Fury is going up against when you are playing with him. But let's waste no more time. Let's start right off the bat with Nick Fury. And we'll scoot this out of the way just real quick, because we'll get that in just a second. It is important. But we got Nick Fury. He is a 4 recovery, 6 hand size, 10 hit points, alter ego with the shield, soldier, and spy trait. And the ability Suit Up, which is a setup ability. Put your suit form upgrade into play. Assault side face up. And then we'll wrap this up real quick with just Infiltrate is you can, as an action, change to stealth suit form. So you are going to start with the assault suit side face up on your suit form, which is a permanent item tech traded with the interrupt of when you attack, remove up to 3 threat from here. This attack gets an additional damage for each threat removed this way. And we will be collecting threat in numerous ways, but that is the side that will be face up. If you want to, before you switch over to hero form on your first turn, you can flip over to stealth suit form. Also an upgrade. Also item tech permanent with the forced interrupt of hero mode. When an enemy would attack you, it schemes instead. Place 1 threat from that activation here instead of on the main scheme if there is 5 or less threat on this card. So naturally, the stealth suit form can in itself get up to 6 threat onto it. There are other ways that we can add threat to it that can go beyond that, but basically if you have 7 threat on this and you do that forced interrupt, which you're going to have to do, if you are in stealth suit form, those attacks are going to turn into scheming. If you hypothetically, if you have 7 threat on here, you're not going to be able to take one of that threat and put it onto the suit. But at that point, you are probably building into something strong. I don't know what it is necessarily, but you're going to want to get rid of that threat pretty quickly. But let's talk about his hero form, where a lot of the interesting stuff is going to happen. So Nick Fury, he has 2 thwart, 2 attack, 2 defense. He's a hero, obviously, with 5 hand size, 10 hit points, and the shield, soldier, and spy trait, so that all carries over. You're going to get some interactions there with the soldier and spy, which are things that that other cards do care about. I don't believe any of them are in his kit necessarily. But either way, he has Gather Intel, which is a responsibility. After Nick Fury makes a basic thwart, place 1 threat on your suit form upgrade. So that's just a way, like I said, if you can get beyond that 6, like his thwarting is going to naturally just put threat onto his stealth suit, which is going to help you out because when he makes an attack, he's going to want threat on there. But then he also has break cover, which is a forced interrupt. When you attack, change to assault suit form. So if you happen to be in stealth suit, you flip over to assault. Your attacks, whether they are your basic attack or if they are attack events, that's going to flip the suit over, and that's kind of the push and pull that you're going to have with Nick Fury, is trying to balance between being in assault suit form and being in stealth suit form. The nice thing is if you are in stealth and you make an attack, you flip over the assault suit, then you can instantly take that threat off of it and start using it to power up your attacks. That is something that I will say that a lot of my opinions about Nick Fury have changed. I'm still stalwart on the side that I find Nick Fury to be more interesting than Maria Hill, who came in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. box with him. I still prefer him, I prefer his play style. But where I initially thought I liked Nick Fury has changed to the parts that really impress me. And part of that is just having a better understanding, a better context that some of the attack events you're looking at are going to be dealing 1, 2, 3 extra damage, and you need to take that into account. Also, just learning better how to manage whether you're in stealth or assault. I'm going to mess that up. I'm going to constantly be referring to this his suit upgrade and say his stealth suit, even though that's only one side of it. But either way, fun hero, well-rounded, and he is really built to make a series of correct decisions. You're going to do really well when you're making informed decisions. You're thinking through your turn. You're going, okay, what do I envision the next turn is going to look like? How do I take in what the villain phase has done to try to turn that into success? And it's skill testing. I think it is a very skill-intensive hero. It's a skill-intensive hero at a level that I feel that I can handle. That's also why, like, a character like Maria Hill just does not itch my brain in the places that Nick Fury does. But this is not to shame Maria Hill. It's just I like Nick Fury. More of those two. But real quickly, let's talk about some recommendations, because if you enjoy this kind of content, I think you're really going to enjoy some of the other content creators out there. If you enjoy our future discussion about Nemesis kits and encounter cards, go listen to Critical Encounters. They cover everything. They are currently making their way through the Age of Apocalypse wave, but they have done a deep dive into so much lore and so much of the encounter cards. Additionally, if you just enjoy listening to discussions about cards, go listen to The Winning Hand. Boom Guy also hosts a podcast on the same YouTube channel about just building decks, and they're also available in most podcast places as well. And then if you're looking for gameplay, go check out Rey Plays Games and Solo Marvel Champion along with Charred Gambit. And then MC Deck Discussions does some deep critical thinking about the game and deck building in ways that I just don't have the fortitude or capacity to do. So if you enjoy any of this content, go check out these other channels. They are great. And let's get into the remainder of the hero pack. Let's start off right off the bat. We've already been talking about her. Maybe not this exact card, but we've been talking about Maria Hill. Let's talk about the ally. She's a 3-cost ally, 2 thwart, 1 attack, shield traded with 3 hit points. She has the interrupt of when she thwarts, place the removed threat onto your suit form upgrade. So this is super helpful. If you have a way to ready her back up, if you're in leadership and you can just ready her back up real quick, it's super helpful to just be able to grab 2 threat off of something, put it right onto your suit upgrade. That instantly takes you, pretty much maxes you out on what you're able to remove to make your attacks really good. Like, she's just a really good partner to wipe some threat off of stuff and then just let Nick Fury make basic attacks, make attack events. Either way, she's a good component. She is a ally that I want to burn through and try to get back into my deck to draw her back up, or I guess you make the call and just put her back into play. But either way, she's a ally that I want to use and I want to recur as much as possible. Your mileage may vary. You may not get a chance to play her because she is a little bit expensive. She's not the most expensive. Well, she is the most expensive thing you can do, but she's tied with being the most expensive thing you can do. But there are a lot of other things where you can just sort of get away paying 1 or 2 or 0 for something, and so suddenly your hand's going to get clogged up and you're going to have to maybe pass up on Maria Hill. But for the most part, I really enjoy her, and she's a good component to a Nick Fury turn. Next up, we've got 2 copies of Concentrated Fire, a 2-cost event, attack traded, hero action attack, deal 4 damage to an enemy. This attack gains ranged. If this attack defeats an enemy, choose to either place threat on your suit form upgrade equal to that enemy's printed scheme, or change to cell suit form. This was probably my favorite card out of the kit when this hero was being previewed and when I was doing my unboxing and when I was doing some gameplay with it. This was like my favorite card, and this still ranks pretty highly up for me. But over time, I've come to realize that this just is not my favorite card. I think, like I said, it's probably, on individually named cards, is probably top 3 or 4 cards in his kit. It's just not as satisfying to me as it used to be. But still, being able to deal up to 7 damage, you're probably going to wipe out a minion at that point. If not, you're going to wipe out half of a phase of the villain. And then being able to take that threat, or whatever threat you can, and put it onto the suit upgrade. Maybe you're going to make another attack, or just change back to stealth suit form. You make your shot, you then go back into disguise mode. They don't even know what happened to them. Just a drone strike came down, and you've taken out this minion, and suddenly you're stealth again. Like, that's really satisfying. That is the part of this card that I was the most looking forward to. But what I also started to run into was that I would then be focused so much on how can I get this if this attack defeated an enemy trigger, that I sort of started to play this card in weird ways that just sort of gave me headaches, and I was like, okay, this isn't worth all of the stress. I wish I could just deal 7 damage here, but unfortunately I can only deal 6, and that's just not gonna be enough to do what I'm looking to do here, and so that's why it kind of fell down in my ratings. That said, it's still a fun card. It's a card that you're going to be able to get a lot of use out of, and overall, like those times when you can just make that big attack, flip that down to stealth suit form, and go about your business is very satisfying, just not as satisfying as I originally hoped. Then we've got Spray Fire, 2 copies. It's a 3-cost event attack. Hero action, choose a player, deal 3 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player. This attack gains ranged. So I kind of skipped out on this on the previous card, but range does help because then there is a card out of next evolution called Sharpshooter, and that just bumps us up without even needing to worry about the threat you're taking off of your suit. That just immediately bumps it up. You're dealing 4, maybe 5, all the way up to 7 damage if you've got the new Thunderbolts running around. If you've chosen to shuffle them into the encounter deck, you could be dealing 7 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with a player. This is just a fun card. This is the card that I have now, of the 2 attack events, really began to enjoy, because in the situations where I thought Concentrated Fire would be good, it's where there are minions in play. And this is one short of, granted it costs more, but it's one short of doing what Concentrated Fire does, but in this case, it also hits the villain. And the problem with Concentrated Fire when there's only the villain is that you're probably not going to defeat that enemy, or I guess in that case the minion, or sorry, the villain. In that case, you might not defeat the villain, so you're not going to get that extra part. But in this case, you are one short of what Concentrated Fire was already doing, but now you're hitting the villain. And short of guard, you're spreading that damage out to as many enemies as possible. So this just, in the hypothetical different situations that come up, this generally does more for me than Concentrated Fire, because it's live more often. It's almost always live because there's always the villain in play. And if you happen to have a bunch of minions, or even just one minion, that's still, you're dealing 6 damage. This is not the most powerful event in the game. And then I suppose, okay, I said 6, really it could be 8, 9, 12. Like it keeps growing and growing and growing just off of the villain and one minion. Once again, your experience may vary. Maybe you run into a situation where you've got 4 minions engaged to your protection vision player, and they're just holding on to a bunch of minions. They're not taking any damage. I don't even know if they need to be in protection, but suddenly you just go Spray Fire, hit the villain, take out all of the enemies that are engaged with them because they don't need them there anymore because they need to get on the offensive. This is very contextual, but I like I said, I thought Concentrated Fire was going to be the thing, and Spray Fire has kind of bumped itself up and become a much more contextually beneficial card. And then of the multiples, we will be finishing off with 3 copies of Covert Surveillance, a 1-cost event, thwart traded. Hero action, remove 2 threat from a scheme. If you are in stealth suit form, you may place that threat onto your suit form upgrade. Otherwise, you may change to stealth suit form. So this is just nice because you can make an attack, and then for just the cost of a card or maybe a resource generator and this card, you can remove some threat from a scheme, and you can get back down to stealth suit form and just go back into incognito mode. There's not much more to it than that, but I have just found that this is a good meat and potatoes card. It's not going to be the best thing you do. And this is probably another one that has maybe fallen in my enthusiasm for it, but just because it's your veggies. You need them. They're going to help. They're going to make games better by just having this card that interacts with what you're trying to do. And if you do happen to be in stealth suit form and you can move that threat onto your suit upgrade, maybe that means you get to make a strong basic attack. Maybe that means you do get to do a really strong concealed fire, or you just get to build up some more threat so that your next turn is good. But overall, yeah, there's not too much more to say. It's just, this is a card that I think just does work, and you're not, it's the kind of card that's going to be helpful, but that you're not going to really say like, the reason why I won was because of Covert Surveillance. In a series of correct decisions, this is one of those decisions you can make correctly. Moving on to the one-of cards, we've got Safe House number 221. It is a 1-cost support, location shield traded, alter ego action, exhaust Safe House number 221. Choose to either heal 2 damage from Nick Fury or place 1 threat on your suit form upgrade. I'm going to keep stumbling over that. Yeah, this is, of these safe houses, this is maybe the most kind of benign one. I don't hate it, but I like Black Widows more. I like Bucky's more. This one is just sort of okay. It's nice to be able to heal 2 extra damage. That generally is the one that I find myself doing the most. If you happen to be in Alter Ego and you can just bump up your threat by 1, that's always nice. But this is the kind of card I don't really hard mulligan for. I don't get a whole lot of use out of, and it just sort of makes it so that my basic recovery is 6. Which is a whole lot because he only has 10 health, or he has 10 health. 6 of it can be recovered all in one go with Safe House and a basic recovery. Then we've got Nick Fury's car, definitely a card that I think the community loves and that I just did not get enough credit to when it first came out. It is a 2-cost support, aerial tech vehicle traits, hero action, exhaust Nick Fury's flying car. I don't even know if I spelled it out the whole name there, but when I first talked about it, but remove 1 threat from your suit. Exhaust this and remove 1 threat from your suit. Ready Nick Fury, which is already good. He gains the aerial trait until the end of the round. I think I fixated too much on the aerial trait and not enough on the fact that this is just a repeatable ready up Nick Fury, which for the most part, especially if you start to overload on threat, 1, this is just something you can do with that threat. But then also, like, let's say in the hypothetical where you have achieved 7 threat onto your suit upgrade. You remove 1, or you attack with Nick Fury, you take off 3, so he attacks for 5. You ready up, you remove 1, you ready him back up, you do another 5. Like, that is a very good thing to do. I think you have pushed yourself to the limit of what you should probably expect to be holding on your suit upgrade. I think that there are people out there, and I could be misremembering this, but I feel like Solo Marvel Champion definitely said that he had like 11 on his upgrade really early on, and like I commend him for that, but I don't know how he got there. But yeah, overall, this is a pretty good card. It's solid. Again, it's one that actually, this is probably one where you will point to it, especially if it did work in the last like turn and a half of the game. You're gonna be like, the reason why I won was because of Fury's flying car. This one definitely is a little bit more showboaty and signposts exactly what to do. But yeah, I like it. It's not my favorite card, but I definitely think that it does a lot of work. Then we've got EM Shield, a 2-cost upgrade, Preparation Tech. It has an interrupt ability on it, defense. When you would take any amount of damage from an attack, discard EM Shield, prevent all of that damage. This is just a nice card to have out. You will not be defeated by an attack. It buys you through an extra attack. And yeah, overall, it's the kind of one where you just go, okay, I'm at 5 health. I've got to survive a minion attack. I've got to survive the villain attack. I am just going to see how it goes. And I'm probably going to EM shield the villain if it gets to be really, really bad. But yeah, it's a good preparation. There is preparation interaction here to be had, like prepared plan. Yeah, prepared plan, I believe is what it's called, or practice plan. It's one of those two. Is really good because it just allows you to rebuy a preparation. And yeah, this is just a good card. I have definitely become more favorable to, I think it's called like front operation or something. I think it came out of Maria Hill's deck. But basically it acts as a card that basically prevents one caught off guard. And I now kind of have a one of in my deck just so that I don't have to lose like other things. And EM Shield is a really easy card to get rid of because you think you're not going to need it, and then suddenly you're just in a situation going, oh, if I could have just prevented all this damage, then I would have won. but instead I chose to keep my watch. And why did I do that? But yeah, front operation, I think is what it's called, is one that I've considered more and more now that I've played Nick Fury a couple more times, just to go, okay, I just need something to be my one scapegoat so that I'm not giving up on the cards that I think aren't going to matter, and then they prove to matter. And that's definitely embodied in EM Shield. Next up, we've got Nick Fury's watch. It is a 1-cost upgrade. Item Tech is a resource effect with exhaust Nick Fury's watch and remove up to 2 threat from your suit upgrade. Generate a genius resource for each threat removed this way. This is just nice. I sometimes find myself without the threats to really make this happen, but it's convenient that sometimes the thing you'd like to do happens to pull off more threat. So you use this 2, you Covert Surveillance, you put the 2 back on. And so you effectively haven't done anything on your board, but the main scheme is lower now, and that's what's important. This is a card that I easily overlook sometimes. When I'm mulliganing, I don't take it seriously. It's a pretty good card. It could be better, just because, like I said, sometimes you just find yourself like, oh, I don't have any threats to do, and I don't have like Maria in play to just quick grab 2 threat. And yeah, you just had to, when you have it in play, or when it is, it's still in your deck. If you're thinking about your turns, and you go, I could draw into Fury's Watch. You definitely want to like try to make your plans around like, can I keep one extra threat on my suit just so that the Fury's Watch is live? And you don't want to be living and dying by that, but it's certainly something that I've definitely started to think about more and more as I become a better Nick Fury player. You've got Secret Agent, a card that I praised very highly at the beginning, and I don't know if it lives up to the hype, but it is a 2-cost upgrade, a title, and a hero response after you resolve the ability of a preparation card you control. Move 1 threat from a scheme to your suit upgrade. This is very good in the situations where it's very good. In the situations where you're not preparation focused, this can just be a very expensive card that does nothing. I want this card to be God tier, and it just isn't. It is still a solid card. And in the situations where it saves you, it's going to do it in spades. You're going to feel so good that you had Secret Agent out, because you're not exhausting this. You're not discarding this. It just stays in play, and every time a preparation gets discarded, you get to like affect the main scheme or even a side scheme, and that's great. But then there are just times when it's just like, oh, I guess we've got the main scheme in order. We don't have any side schemes out, and in a deck where you are preparation focused and you throw in an extra couple player side schemes, this is great. I actually, there was a situation I was playing with some people a week or so ago where this just being out, we had a whole bunch of threat, and we had we were rotating in player side schemes. And if this was in play, it would have just been like, we still won, but it would have been moving threat off of things and just like kind of passively been getting us closer and closer to, just having our player side schemes just get eliminated. And yeah, I want to praise this card, but I also don't want to undersell. I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad card. It's just a card that is very contextual, but where it's good, it's real good. And yeah, that's all I can really say about it. I'm blabbering now. Then we've got Intelligence Analysis, a 0-cost upgrade, preparation skill. So that's important. Actually, let's even go back real quick and just see. We have quite a few preparations, but how many preparations do we have? So our kit naturally has 3 preparations. So that's going to make Secret Agent all the better, but this is a pretty good preparation. It is a preparation skill, interrupt. When you reveal a treachery, discard Intelligence Analysis and remove 1 threat from your suit upgrade. Cancel that effect of the treachery card and discard it. This can be very great. This can just save you from Shadow of the Past. That can just save you from a card that just would have been debilitating, would have just been the last thing you needed. And we haven't really fully dove into the power level of Falcon, but man, oh man, Falcon is really good at handling the villain phase, and this does a really good imitation. It just takes a boost card that's been given to you, or not a boost card, an encounter card that's been given to you, and just says, not today. And that's really strong. And yeah, this is just another one of those contextual ones where I think the real skill here is that it's not a bad card. It's a card that you just need to understand, is this treachery so bad that I'm not afraid of drawing a worse treachery next turn? That is contextual, but I think that it is a skill testing choice you're making. And yeah, there's not much more to it. I think this is a fine enough card, and I don't want to undersell it. It's just one that is going to, the better you get with this card, the better you probably are getting as a player, because you will begin to assess, what can I handle? Is this the worst thing that could happen? If it is the worst thing, let's get rid of it. If it's not, then I just need to be I need to be cognizant of that, and then go, okay, when I see something that's worse than this, do something about it. And I guess the only setback here is that in multiplayer it becomes harder and harder, because it's when you reveal a treachery, and maybe you aren't going to be the one revealing the treachery. So maybe you need to be a little bit more selective, or you need to be less selective and just go, this is a treachery, get rid of it, and just move on. But yeah, I don't know that I fully cracked this card, because I don't know if I fully cracked exactly what the biggest threats to Nick are yet. And lastly, in his kit, we have Eyepatch Camera. A 2-cost upgrade, preparation, attack, hero interrupt. When any amount of threat will be placed on the main scheme, discard Eyepatch Camera. Place up to 3 of that threat onto your suit upgrade instead. So this is just counterintelligence, but in a hero kit, and it does very well, because I guess it's not. It is counterintelligence, but also it is doing what Nick Fury is looking to do. This is a great card. I love this card so much. It is definitely one of those cards that, yes, you are discarding it, and unlike what I said about intelligence analysis, you just grab the first 3 threat you see, because it's going to be 3 threat. Obviously, there are going to be situations where suddenly 5 threat gets added to something, and that's like, there's nothing you can do about that. But just being able to add the 3, that is a full basic attack, bumping it up to 5 based off this. And yeah, just, it is great. It is definitely one that if I have practiced plan, I'm trying to get this back, because just being able to blank the villain phase every turn, like back-to-back turns, is just great. And yeah, I think this is a really fun card. There is still some skill testing to this, because sometimes you just have to say, hey, you know what, this is 2 threats getting added, but that 2 threat could be a difference maker, and I'd rather have that 2 threat on my suit upgrade than on the main scheme. But that is it for Nick's kit. Let's move over to the example deck, and then we will wrap this all up. All right, and here we are looking at an example deck for Nick Fury. And unlike previous new player guides, where I was highlighting established decks that were published somewhere, I have kind of done a little bit of recon and determined that the further we get into the game, the harder it is to really find people who are just by chance building kind of good, tailored back, small card pool decks. And that even includes great creators like MC Deck Discussions, aka Abysmal. I don't blame him. I looked there first, because if there was going to be someone that was going to have a Nick Fury deck that was built with a low pack count, it was probably going to be him. I did not see it. And so what I decided to do was pivot on how I'm going to be handling these going forward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to personally build a deck, restricting the card pool to the core set and the wave that the hero came out in. This also means that I will probably also be planning to do my new hero guides once the entire wave has finished, just so that we can work with all that. That seems like also a good amount of time to give me to also learn these heroes. All to say, here's my example deck for Nick Fury today, building with just the core set and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in mind. And this deck is going to have you restricted to just the core set, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the Black Panther pack, aka Shuri, that came out about 2 months ago. So we're going to make this super quick, go through all these cards, because a lot of them are probably going to be familiar to you if you're someone who's picked up the core set and maybe has started to look into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But let's get into it real quick. We've got Agent Coulson, he is just a ally that is going to come into play and is going to get you a preparation. We've already got preparations that were in Nick Fury's kit. You just saw them. We've also added a couple that we'll get to when we get to the upgrades that, they're just preparations. And so this is going to help you with consistency. This is going to allow you to shuffle your deck back up and grab those miser copies of preparations that we have and just, bring consistency to the deck. I think it's going to be a really good stepping stone for you. If you've already played with Nick Fury out of the box, he has this card in it. So that should be no new surprise to you. Got Dum Dum Dugan, who is a basic ally, also had the same story, came out of the Sinister Motives wave, and has been reprinted here, but he is an ally that I think is really powerful and allows you to use your shield cards outside of just what they're doing, like on a static level or, a basic power level. When you use one of his basic powers, you can exhaust up to 3 shield cards, whether they be ally or supports. For each card exhausted this way, he gets +1 to that power, so you could very well be attacking for 6. Now, he does take extra consequential damage everywhere. That's going to happen no matter what you do, so you are incentivized to say, hey, I've got this shield support here that I'm not using its effect this turn. I got this ally here who has 1 health left, but instead of using up their power, I want to just boost up Dum Dum Dugan for a turn and just give him this big attack. It's great. He already starts with a natural 3 thwart and 3 attack, so he's already doing good work, but he definitely gets more and more powerful the more shield supports and cards you're willing to exhaust to use his effect. Oops, multiple screens here. Then we got Melinda May, a basic ally who is just going to come down. She's going to let you look at, or sorry, not when she comes down. When you use one of her basic powers, you can look at the top card in the encounter deck and discard it if you'd like. This is helpful for just setting up what the villain face is going to look like. If you happen to have confused or stunned the villain, you don't need to worry about their boost card. This is literally going to be what is your encounter card going to look like, and use your own sensibilities to say, like, is this something I'm not prepared for? And if I'm not prepared for it, but I could be, let me set up how I'm going to finish my turn in such a way that I am ready to take on that treachery or minion or what have you. Like maybe you switch down to Alter Ego to avoid a quick strike. And just this ability to plan out the villain phase. Any extra intel you can get into the villain phase is going to be good, and she gives you that. Or, like I think I said about one of the cards previously, I'm recording this separately because I didn't turn my microphone on for this last time. Any knowledge you can have into what the villain phase is going to look like, any way that you can prepare for it, is going to be that much more powerful. And she gives you that flexibility. Then we've got Nick Fury Sr., a basic ally who basically is just a stand-in for the core set Nick Fury. But he comes down, he either removes 3 threat from a scheme, draws you 2 cards, or gives a tough status card to a shield character you control. Or actually any shield character, so multiplayer it's even more expansive. But you are a shield character. You are Nick Fury, so you can get a tough status, and that's great. Then at the end of the round, he's just going to discard himself, so he makes for a good chump blocker. He makes for, just a good card to have in play. He's not as good as his younger son from the core set, but I think he's a good replacement. And then we have, wrapping up our allies, is Quake. She is an ally who has definitely gained new context with Nick Fury, because prior to this, you were having to put her out and then go through a villain phase where you were an alter ego. Then you get to have a minion scheme, and you get to deal 2 damage to them. In this case, you can make it so that Quake is hitting the minion even while you're in hero form. You already are going to be taking some of the threat off because the enemy schemes. You take 1 off with your suit, but then you get to deal 2 damage to them. That might be enough to soften them up, or just take out the minion altogether. And I liked Daisy before. She was just a cheap ally, but now she's gotten even better in this new context. Moving on to our events, we've got Global Logistics, a 0-cost event action. Got the shield and tactic traded, but it has got the action of exhaust 1 shield card you control, ally or support, or even your hero. Look at the top 4 cards of the player deck or the encounter deck, discard any number of those, and put the others on the top and or bottom of the deck in any order. So this does a lot of work. And being able to set up your hand for the next turn, or being able to set up what the villain face is going to look like in multiplayer, this gets even better. Or just to say, like, I don't like any of these cards, I don't want to see any of them, whether it be in my next hand or in anything to do with the villain phase. Just toss them aside, get 4 new fresh cards. I think it's probably always a good idea that whichever deck you're targeting, that you are at least getting one of those cards is something that's going to be put back on top is a known quantity. But that is also just another part of the skill testing, a part of you taking in those moments to know what is going to be the best thing to do and making the best you can of it. But it is a very strong card that definitely lightens the load when it comes to the villain phase, and also just makes it so that you draw into gas if you really, really need to. Infiltration is a very cool card out of the Black Panther pack. It is a 1-cost event, Thwart. Choose any number from 1 to 5. Discard that many cards from the top of the encounter deck. Remove 1 threat from a scheme. For each card discarded this way, put 1 minion discarded this way into play engaged with you. Now, in the Thunderbolt scenario, where there is only 1 minion in the deck, you can just do 5 and assume that you're probably not going to hit her. I'm trying to think what her name is. I don't remember now. Either way, it doesn't matter. But yeah, just when you know what the encounter deck is, you can go, okay, there's some quick strike minions. Maybe I'm worried about that. Maybe you do a shallow 3, or you just go, there's nothing that I'm afraid of. The thing I'm most afraid of is the main scheme scheming out. So I'm just going to pick 5. If there's only 2 threat on the main scheme, you can do this, and maybe you get a minion, and you take advantage of that. But either way, there's so many options with this card. The decision tree is so wide that you can play it very safe and conservative, or you can just know your deck and know what you need to do and go with whatever is going to be the most appropriate. Then we have Super Spies, the team-up card for Maria Hill and Nick Fury. For the most part, this is just going to be a 0-cost event that's going to get 3 threat onto your suit upgrade, and a 0-cost event that makes it so that your next attack is 3 bigger is pretty great. I'm kind of at a loss to say if there is a shield support that we're going to be playing that's going to be able to add. Oh, actually, sorry. Like the what's it called? It's not available here, but it's the. Oh no, it is because it's out of the core set. It just didn't make the deck. It's the shield support that you exhausted to remove a threat from the scheme. So this could very well. You could say, I'm not going to worry about the threat. I'm just going to get more counters onto this so that I can keep thwarting. That is, your own prerogative. But either way, yeah, this is just a pretty flexible card. For a team-up card, this is actually pretty good and costed pretty well. We've got build support, which is going to be able to get any of our supports that happen to be in our deck. The good reprint. You can get 3 threat off of it pretty easy with Nick Fury. Then you just go and grab a support that costs 3 or less from your deck and put it into play. And all of our supports cost 3 or less, so this is going to be doing a lot of good work for you. Got 2 of our general resources, and then we've got front organization, which I talked about before. It's just a good way to make it so that the encounter deck tries to make you discard a card from play. This can just be the card you discard instead, no matter what the criteria is. And yeah, it's just a nice miser card to have and to just get a little extra use out of. Got Helicarrier, a shield support for 3. You exhaust it, you reduce the cost of the next card you play by 1. This is going to be super helpful. This can also just be nice because it is an easy target for all those exhaust a shield cards. Because sometimes you don't even care about the 1. You just want to get like an extra damage in with Dum Dum Dugan, or you just want to look at the top 4 cards with Global Logistics. And yeah, this is just a fine card right out of the core set that's going to be doing you a lot of good work. We've got Gemma Simmons, a 3-cost support that for you is going to cost 1, and you can exhaust it, and Gemma Simmons generates a genius resource for a tech card. And we've got enough tech in our deck that this is a nice way to just sort of easily pay for it. No big deal. She's not the most impressive support in play, but again, she has the shield trait, so she's going to be able to answer those shield traded card requirements that you need in some places. And then we've got Leo Fritz, basically the same thing. All the bonuses of being a shield card, all the bonuses of being less expensive because we already have the shield trait. But he has the ability to, as an alter ego action, search your deck for a tech card and put it into your hand. This can be super nice, especially with situational tech that we have, that we just want to have when we need it at the moment. And then last support is the Sky Destroyer. I wanted to call it the Star Destroyer. That's not what it's called. 3-cost support that when you play a shield card, you can exhaust this card to deal 2 damage to an enemy. This can be just nice to shave damage off of the villain, take out a enemy that is in what I'm now referring to is Bucky range. It's just a nice way to get everything where you need it to be, and it's just free damage. You're already playing your game, and this is just free damage, and there's enough shield cards in this deck that you should be able to get a use out of this whenever you need to. Moving on to our upgrades. Outside of our identity-specific cards, we've got Practice Plan, a zero-cost preparation, max 1 per player. After you discard a preparation card you control, discard Practice Plan, return that card from your hand to your hand from the discard pile. So yeah, this is just a nice way to get an extra copy of a preparation. They just stand in for that. It triggers the Secret Agent ability. As it actually becomes a second trigger of the Secret Agent ability. Correct, I'm not misremembering that. This doesn't exhaust. It's just okay. Yep. So yeah, it's just a nice way to get 2 preparations for the price of 1, plus buy 1 back. That gives you an extra resource in your hand, or you can just replay it back out. Either way, this is a nice safety net, and yeah, just is it can be situational, and you might not always want to buy back the first preparation you get rid of, but at the same time, maybe you draw into the other one and you just want to burn through them, get over that max 1 per player, and yeah, it's just a good card to have if you care about preparations. Prism Dust, which is delightful for Nick Fury. It is a preparation tech traded card, max 1 per player, and after a minion enters play, discard Prism Dust, confuse that enemy, and deal 2 damage to it. Confusing can also just discard villain or minions in the current environment because they have the keyword, which I'm blanking on, but that just makes them automatically get discarded if they're stunned or confused. But then also this just helps to put some damage onto a minion, and because Nick Fury cares so much about making the enemy's scheme, he can benefit from this because suddenly it blanks a minion turn, and that's pretty great. And then we've got Sting Operation, 1 copy, a 2-cost preparation tactic, max 1 per player. Again, response after a non-elite minion schemes, discard Sting Operation, discard that minion. This is just a nice safety net for getting rid of minions that you don't want to have to deal with right now, but get rid of them ASAP. This does combo really well with other cards out of the Black Panther pack, the Raft, and then I believe it was out of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. box, was Informant. Nice combo, didn't want to put it in this deck. It didn't feel appropriate, but at the same time, maybe you want to. All the more reason to buy the Black Panther pack. And then Under Surveillance is just a stellar card, happened to get a reprint. I think it was originally out of the Thor pack, but yes, it is a Justice card that adds 4 to the target scheme. So this is best in single player, but yeah, it just makes it so that the main scheme takes longer, buys you an extra turn or 2, and that's always great. You're not at a great fear with Nick Fury for that to happen, but at the same time, sometimes you just want an extra turn or 2, and that's what this offers. But that is everything. So let's go and look at the Nemesis and the Obligation and wrap all of this up. And we are back to talk about the Obligation and Nemesis. Kit. Right off the bat, we have the Obligation, which is discovered, give to the Nick Fury player. When revealed, change to Assault Suit form. If there's no threat on your suit upgrade, this card gains Surge. Otherwise, choose to either take 1 damage for each threat on your suit upgrade or remove each threat from your suit upgrade. In either case, discard this card. I don't want to say this is a card that I live in fear of, but I will say that I have some trauma when it comes to his Nemesis and Obligation. They have just done me so wrong. They're not the most debilitating in the game, but they're definitely ones you have to think about. And this one's tough because this is one where that hypothetical where you have 7 threat on your suit and you just plan to have a really big turn next turn with the flying car and everything, and suddenly you remove all the threat from your suit and you're just left out hanging. That said, that is a very corner case situation, but this is also an obligation, so no matter how it gets revealed, when it gets revealed, it gets handed over to you. So this is going to affect you every time that it is an encounter card. I don't know that there's really too much more you can do about this because this is completely contextual. If you have a lot of threat and you can't take the damage, then there really isn't a choice. You just have to remove all the threat. If you have 4 and you are at 7, you can sit there and go, okay, I'm going to take the damage. I will do whatever I was going to do with the threat. I will change up the alter ego. I will recover. And because there is just such a wide variance of everything good and bad that can happen with this card, this is just one where I can't even give you solid advice. You just have to take this as it comes and take it in whatever context it happens to hit you in. And that's what you have to evaluate. And you just have to make the best decision you can, because this is just a rough obligation to live through. Moving on to the Nemesis Kit. Starting right off the bat, we've got Orion and Acquire the Infinity Formula. So Orion is a 2-scheme, 2-attack, 6 health minion with the Leviathan trait. Has toughness. Orion can have any number of tough status cards, and a force response of, after Orion takes any amount of damage, give him a tough status card. So this is definitely one where if you can, you are conceal firing for 6 to just get rid of him. Well, you're making a basic attack, then you're conceal firing for 6 just to get rid of him. That said, the side scheme is definitely going to complicate that, because the Acquire Infinity Formula is a side scheme with 5 threat. It has the Amplify icon and a force response of, after Nick Fury takes any amount of damage, give Orion a tough status card. If Orion is not in play, find him and put him into play, engage with the Nick Fury player. So you need to answer both of these cards pretty much in a 1-2 punch. And that is the part that gives me like trauma, because I have not been successful in doing both of these things in a 1-2 punch style. It's like, okay, get rid of Orion, and then I guess change to Alter Ego or change to my Stealth Suit form so that I'm not taking damage. But then if I take damage from like some kind of weird just attack event or attack treachery of some kind, like if I happen to take any amount of damage, Orion just comes back and I got the same problem as before. What do I do? And yeah, this is a rough situation to find yourself in. You can get yourself out of it. It's not debilitating. It's not unwinnable. It's just a speed bump that if you are not prepared to end the game and you have to address this, it might take a lot of like finagling to figure out, okay, what is the sequence of events that I need to do to handle this, because this is just irritating. That said, let's move on to the remainder of the Nemesis Kit. So we've got Cold Storage, a Treachery with, when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a Leviathan minion and put it into play, engage with you, shuffle, otherwise take 2 damage. So, and a boostability of take a damage. So we do have 2 more Leviathan minions. I don't think there are any other Leviathan. It is they're all the minions. Sorry, there's no Leviathan villain. I don't think outside of Nick Fury's pack there are any other Leviathan minions. So it's all self-contained to this. But if you happen to have out Orion and the other 2 that we're about to talk about, you're just taking 2 damage. That's not the worst. I certainly want to grab the other Leviathan minions over Orion. But that is the looming threat on your shoulder, is if you don't handle this all correctly, you might be bringing Orion back out, and that's rough, because he's not an impossible minion, he's just an irritating minion. So let's wrap this up with the 2 Leviathan soldiers. They are 0 scheme, 2 attack, 4 health minions with the Leviathan trait. They have toughness, and when after Leviathan soldier schemes, deal 1 damage to the engaged player's identity. This is how the Infinity Formula can just go grab Orion really easily if you happen to do this and you don't address it and the toughness is too much for you. Notably, I don't think that Nick Fury has any piercing. Let me just make sure of that. Attack scheme ranged. Yeah, so you have ways of, taking out as many minions as possible, but you need to break the toughs first. And the toughs are really, they are the toughest part of this Nemesis Kit. Is just the fact that you need to basically make 2 attacks just to get rid of them. And these are not the most scary minions, but certainly, just being able to come into play and scheme and deal damage and bring back Orion is definitely something that is looming. But it's not the thing I most worry about. Really, at the end of the day, the Nemesis and the side scheme are what I'm worried about most here. And I would say that the Nemesis and the side scheme definitely rank up there in like the 7, 8, 9 out of 10 the Nemesis kits. Like they do make an impression. And so those are what I'm most worried about. Because when I get Shadow of the Past, I would love to not have Shadow of the Past because it means that my next turn is going to be very occupied. If I like I said, if I'm not ready to close out the game, Orion and the side scheme are just a pain in the butt. But that is it. That is Nick Fury. So I think he is a great hero. I think that he is definitely one that probably is skill testing and is maybe not the hero I would first jump to if I'm just learning the game. If you have experience with these kinds of games and you have enough of a like analytical mind, this is probably one you could probably jump into as your second, third, or fourth hero. I would say that if you're new to the game and you are interested, but you don't necessarily have a lot of experience with just thinking about the game. What does the game look like in 2 or 3 turns? Nick Fury might not necessarily be the best place to start, but at the same time, if you're playing on standard, if you're playing with other people, Nick Fury may not be the worst place to kind of get into that. It's just the first game you play with Nick Fury, the first like 2 or 3, might be a little rough, but you are kind of like honing that skill. And so I think he's a great hero. I just think that he is an acquired taste. Is the long and short of what I was trying to say. But either way, until next time when I talk about Maria Hill, have a great day. I will see you all later, and you're doing great. Keep it up.